Have you ever wondered exactly what top performers say during their buyer consultations? The exact words that they use to navigate tough topics and how they communicate their value? Well, your wish is my command. We have Isacc Lightbourn back with us today. He's that savage kid that we had on a few months ago from El Paso, Texas. He's now closed 80 transactions. He has 18 pending as a solo agent, and he's 22 years old. So if you haven't listened to that other episode, it is number 1232, and that is where we dig into where all of his leads are coming from. But today, by popular demand, we have Isacc back to go over the exact buyer's consultation that he uses step by step. And guys, Isacc shares his screen during this episode, so it'd be a good one for you to watch on YouTube so you can get the visual along with the words. And here's what you can expect to learn: how to navigate financing, how to explain how commissions work with all these NAR changes, how to eliminate the number of showings that you have to do before you get that commitment, and so much more. This is really one that you're going to want to listen to from start all the way to the finish because it continues to build as the show goes, and there's tons of nuggets and scripts just like embedded into every little bit. So, guys, in case you didn't know, you're listening to the Real Estate Rockstars podcast, and I am Shelby Johnson. I'm the agent who's closed a ton of deals, but apparently doesn't understand how Instagram settings work. Because, guys, as you know, if you listen to the show often, I tell you to hit me up on the gram. I'd love to hear from you. But I literally just realized that my settings for DMs were turned off. Like, anyone who I did not follow could not follow me. I can't. I'm so sorry. I'm dead. But anyway, all that to say, you can actually DM me now. So go say hi. Tell me I'm an idiot. And the place you can do so is on the Instagram at The Shelby Show. And one last note. Okay, I have a few extra tickets to the Tom Ferry Summit this August in Dallas, Texas. And retail for these bad boys is like $1,000. I've got a few left for $200. So if anyone wants to go, hit me up. And without further ado, let's go through this buyer consultation step by step. Rockstars, welcome Isacc Lightbourn. Isacc, we are back again and here for you to school us up on your buyer's consultation. Dude, I am so excited for this today. I've been like counting down the days. So Isacc, I'm the buyer. I'm about to meet you for a buyer's consultation. Am I meeting you on Google Meet or am I in person? If I'm in person, where are we? Like, set the stage for us.
Oh, okay. You're the buyer. Where are we? We're currently on Google Meet. I don't use Zoom because it charges you like if you go over an hour. And Google Meet, you send the Google invite and you tell them just click the Google Meet link. So it's super convenient. You look professional. But I prefer to meet in person. So I always try to get them in person. Some people can't. Google Meet's the best way to get the appointment.
Okay. And if we're doing this in person, are you just at a coffee shop? Are you at your office? Like, where are we?
I try to do it at my office. I really would prefer to not do a coffee shop. But if they say something that kind of like hints at, oh, like your office is over there, I'm like, hey, you know what? Where do you live by? Do you have a Starbucks nearby? I've done it at a Starbucks before, but I love to do it at my office and really come off as the professional. If the front desk worker's there, I tell them, hey, Shelby Johnson's going to be here at 5 p.m. And when they walk in the door, the front desk person says, you must be Shelby Johnson. Isaac's been waiting for you. Go ahead and take a seat. And they're like, wow.
I'm so special. I'm VIP. Oh my God. Okay. So I walked in, I know I'm the VIP, and now you're coming out and you're like, hey, back this way. Like, walk us through it. What happens?
Yeah. So first things first, ideally, right, you're at my office. I walk out and that awkward silence has kind of already been broken through the front desk worker. And then I have a little conversation with you at the front. How was the drive here? Blah, blah, blah. The goal is to break the ice because this is probably our first interaction, break the awkwardness from when we're first there and it's at the front doors, right? And when I walk you into the office, I already kind of conversed a little bit and that silence is broken. At that point, that's where I'll offer a water. I instruct the front desk person to not offer a water. I want to do that. And we sit down in my office. And before I get to that part, do you have any questions?
No, I'm with you. Let's roll.
Cool. All right. So I go sit down in my office and I'm not going to go straight into like, all right, let me teach you how to buy a home. That's weird. I'll converse with them a little bit, right? So I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I have a ton of information to give you, Shelby. Like, it can honestly get boring, and you're going to have to stick with me. But before I just get into this and start yapping away, I really want to know what's on your mind. What are you expecting from today? Is there one specific question where the whole time you're just going to be waiting to ask it? Because if there is, Shelby, just please say it, ask it right now. I'd love to address it up front. And then
Love
sometimes
that.
sometimes they'll be like, no, just pretty much here to learn, a little bit reserved. And other times they're like, all right, Isaac, well, I currently have a credit card. And then they go into it. And usually their main question, whenever they do answer that, is something mortgage related. And I'll briefly answer it. Of course, I know a lot of lenders say, realtors, stick as realtors, keep us as lenders. I need to be the professional, right? And I know enough about mortgage to answer basic questions. So I'll answer their questions, whatever it is. And then I ask them again. I'm like, hey, before I get into this, because trust me, it's going to be a lot of information. It's going to be boring. Do you have any other questions? Or is there anything that you want to say? Nope. Okay, cool. Hey, I just want to let you know, I talk fast. I really do. Don't feel rude interrupting me. If you think of something in the middle of me explaining, boom, cut me off and let me know. Is that cool, Shelby? Yeah, that's cool. And then I get into the presentation. So I'll be like, all right, this presentation has everything you need to know about buying a house. I'll go through this part first. And I'll first tell them, honestly, Shelby, buying a house is really easy. Like after you buy about 10 houses or help 10 families buy a house, you pretty much know everything there is to know about it. And me personally, last year I helped 41 people. In total, I'm probably reaching like close to helping 100 families. So it's the same thing over and over. The only difference for me is just dealing with different personalities because we're humans. Everybody's different. But first things first, you're here. You find a realtor. And let me tell you, Shelby, you don't have to use a realtor. You don't have to use an accountant to do your taxes. You don't have to use a lawyer to go to court. 94% of people about choose to have a realtor to guide them, advise them, negotiate for them, and make sure they don't make any mistakes. And I'm currently assuming that's you, but I want to make it clear, you don't have to use a realtor to buy a house or sell a house. That realtor will typically send you to their mortgage lender of choice. You can use any mortgage lender that you want. Wells Fargo, GCU, Circle K Financing, whoever you want, you go use them. I'll send you to the lender that I trust because I have a relationship with them. I'm not making extra money on them, but I'm making extra customer service. They know if they mess up with you, Shelby, I fire them. If they mess up with me, I fire them. If I call them at 7 p.m., they answer. Wells Fargo, GCU, Navy Federal, and all these lenders, they couldn't care less about me. I call them at 5:01 p.m. Oop, end of the day. I'll answer Isaac on Monday. Won't even call him on the weekend. So I try to use my lender because it's going to be a better experience for you, for me, and I've also already done my research to make sure that they have competitive closing costs and interest rates. But I want to make it clear, you can use whoever you want. At the end of the day, I'm just here to guide and advise you, Shelby. But after we go with that lender, that's where the fun part starts. That's what you're here for, the home search,
Dude, I
looking
am
at
here for the
home.
fun. You know it. I'm here for it. But just real quick for people, because just in case you're not watching this on YouTube, so Isaac has shared his screen and he's actually going through his buyer's presentation. But so far, what we've gone through, he just had a nice cover page and we're on the very first slide, which is his buyer's roadmap. So that's what he's gone over so far. Like the very first thing on the buyer's roadmap was to find an agent. And so that's why he talked about that agent part. And then the second thing was pre-approval, which he went into his lender little not pitch, but whatever explanation. And so far, something that Isaac has done a really, really good job of is even before he got to this buyer's roadmap, he managed expectations several times. He's like, we're going to go over a lot of information. It might be boring. I do talk fast. Please don't feel rude to interrupt. These are all really good things to set the stage so that way people do feel comfortable throughout the presentation and have an idea what to expect before you even jump in. The other thing that he did that was really awesome was with the real estate agent, where he's like, you don't have to choose me. You don't have to choose a realtor at all. And people want to have a choice. They want to feel like they have a choice in all things. So that was another thing that I noted was great. Plus the stat, 94%. Man, I love a stat. A good stat. It just makes everyone like, ooh, Isaac is the man. He knows what he's talking about. And now, okay, Isaac, sorry, did not mean to interrupt. I think we're all caught up. Are we on the fun part, which is step number 3, home search? Is that right?
Home search.
Perfect.
And by the way, this is just like a small roadmap. Later on in this buyer presentation, we're going to go through all of these items in detail. But after the pre-approval, home search. We look for a home, we find a home, you fall in love with a home, we submit an offer, we negotiate, or if we're getting a new construction home, we just reserve a home. You go under contract, you deliver your deposit, we do an inspection, we negotiate repairs with the seller, or if it's a new home, they just fix everything. Final details, this is where the mortgage lender becomes important again, and we need to make sure to choose a good one. They're going to come back in and verify with their bosses, which are also called underwriters, that you're actually good to buy this house. Because when they approve us, you're 95% good. When their underwriter comes in, you're 100% good, which is, again, is why we got to choose a good lender, because we're trusting them on step number 2 to make sure that their 95% is pretty confident. But they come in, appraise the house, and make sure it's worth what we're paying for it. You close on the home, you're on Isaac's Instagram, and everything's great. So buying a house is real easy. Find an agent, get a lender, search for homes, submit an offer, deposit, inspection, lender and a realtor do a couple things in the background. You don't have to worry about anything. And then in 35 days, you're closing on your home. There's a lot of tedious things in here, Shelby, but I'm here, the lender's here to just make you focus on finding the right home and following our instructions. And if you got a right lender and the right realtor, you really shouldn't be worried about buying a house that has something wrong with it, missing out on anything, or paying too much, because we're going to be here to address your concerns. But before I move on, I actually do have a couple questions for you, Shelby. Do you have any questions for me?
No, I don't have any questions for you now, Isaac. I do appreciate the overview of the buyer's roadmap. There's so many details in there that, I'm nervous about, but I'm glad that you mentioned that we can go into more detail later. And I feel like I have a good, overview of the process. So no, I have no questions for you at this time.
That's great to hear, Shelby, because I have questions for you. So I think it's important for me to understand you, understand your lifestyle, understand your dogs, your cats, your partners, your moms, your dad's lifestyle, anything that's going to affect this home. And I just really want to make sure that I'm accomplishing your goals. And the best way that I can do that is to ask you a couple questions. So first things first, I'm assuming since it's just you here in this meeting, you're going to be the only one that's living in this house?
For the assumption that we are playing today, yes.
Okay, great. And by the way, Shelby, if you see me kind of go blank, I'm just writing some notes on you. I really don't want to forget any of this. This is super important to me. But where are you living right now, Shelby?
I am living in a different area in El Paso in an apartment, in a 1 bed, 1 bath apartment.
Okay, when does that lease end?
It actually ends in a month and a half.
Okay, don't worry. We have time. But I want to see if it takes us longer than a month and a half to buy a house, can you go month to month or do you have to move out?
I can do month to month.
Oh, that's perfect, Shelby. Oh my gosh. That makes me feel so much better. I hate being on a time crunch with people. I really love it when people get to enjoy the process. So if you find a house fast, great, but you don't need to. What do you not like about your current apartment? Like, what's just the worst thing about it?
It's just too small. It's not enough space.
Yeah. You have any pets or it's just you?
I do. I have a cat, which is weird because I was never a cat person, and then I got one, and they're great.
Yeah, see, like as soon as I got Tom, his name's Tom. Oh my gosh, my world changed. Like whenever I hear people not like cats, I'm just like, I don't like you. But I know that litter box can really
Gross.
smell up the apartment. So
Nasty.
like something
Yeah.
I'm already thinking in my head, Shelby, is all right, Shelby's probably gonna need a house with a somewhat big laundry room or insulated, cooled garage, because that's more than likely where the litter box is gonna go. That way it doesn't stink up the house too much. Because I feel the same. Um, and what are you most excited about when going into your new house, Shelby?
I'm most excited about having an office and my bedroom and a guest room for when friends and family visit.
Oh, okay. And speaking of friends and family, anybody you know, or have you watched any videos about, buying a house? Is there anything you already know about the process?
Isaac, I'm a clean slate for you. I've done no research. I'm just here.
That is great. And I just want to let you know, if you have any, you are going to have friends, you are going to have family, you're going to see videos on your phone about buying a house. And if there's anything on there where it makes you question, is this true? Is this not? Shelby, you have my personal number. Call me. Be like, hey, Isaac, I just saw this TikTok video that says if I buy a house, I'm going to blow up. Is that true? Oh, no, Shelby, that's not true. You're not going to blow up, So don't hesitate to call me. But anyways, that's besides the point. All right. Have you bought a car, or when you rented an apartment, did they run like a lease application for you and you had to provide
I,
references?
oh, I mean, yes, they screened me before getting this apartment, and yes, I have a car.
Okay. Did you like finance that car? You go to a dealership, or do you buy it private from somebody?
Oh, dude, no, what's a really good car? I don't know enough about cars. Some really expensive car, nope, shit. McLaren, that's one. That's one. I got a McLaren and I financed all of it, and my interest rate is really, really high. Yeah, that's what I have.
Oh, okay. Well, the good thing about you financing it is that you're somewhat fluent in the financing aspect. The interest rate does make me a little sad. That's also going to contribute to your debt, but I'm getting ahead of myself. We'll get to that part when we get there. So I know a good amount about you. Is there anything, Shelby, that I should know about your lifestyle, or just besides 3 beds, 2 baths? This is what I want in a house that would help me understand like how I can best understand your life.
Yeah, I really want to be close to a Chick-fil-A and a really good gym.
Oh, you go to the gym every day?
I go to the gym almost every day. Yes.
Oh, are you more like of a private gym or like a big influencer gym type of girl?
Oh, a nice little happy medium would be great.
I can agree with that, Shelby. All right, next up, I'm going to get back into the boring stuff. Thank you for giving me that information. I know it's like a little weird. You probably weren't expecting that today, but I promise it helps me. Okay, Shelby. So I've noticed that a lot of realtors don't explain, how a buyer's realtor works, how a seller's realtor works, how we get paid. Is that something that you would like to know?
Yes.
Great. All right. So this is me, buyer's agent. This is you, buyer. Our goal is to get a house that you love for the least amount of money. Simple. This is a seller's agent, also known as a listing agent, and this is their seller that they represent. Their goal is to sell us their home for the most amount of money. We got the same goal. We both want to buy the home. They want to sell it to us, but they want to sell it up here. We want to buy it down here. My goal is to guide you, advise you, and negotiate for you for the least amount of money to come out of your pocket, for you to pay the least amount, for your interest to be the lowest, all that stuff. They don't care about that. They want to make the most amount of money. This realtor represents this seller's best interests. I don't matter. Their mom doesn't matter. The escrow officer doesn't matter. Nobody matters except this seller to them. Same goes for you, Shelby. You are the only one that matters. Sometimes this listing agent might even be my friend. I know a lot of realtors in El Paso, but in that moment, when we're going to buy a house that my friend is selling, my friend is no longer my friend. The mortgage lender doesn't matter. The title company doesn't matter. My mom doesn't matter. Nobody matters. You matter. And that's not official, right? I don't technically represent your best interest until I sign you on as a client. But if at the end of this or in the future you decide, hey, Isaac, I want you to sign me on as a client, then boom, that's where I represent your best interests. Even before I sign you on, though, Shelby, I'm always going to advise you as if you were my own mom, my sister, if you were me, because do unto others as they would want to do unto you. And the happier I make you, the more friends you send me. But anyways, this buyer is in charge of compensating their realtor, of course, and this seller is in charge of compensating their realtor, of course. As far as what this buyer's agent charges, I don't know. I could tell you what I charge. It's between 2.5% to 3% of the purchase price. As for the seller's agent, I have no idea. Doesn't really relate to you or matter. Sometimes this seller just straight up says, hey, Shelby, I'll pay your realtor. You don't even have to worry about it. I will compensate your realtor. And sometimes they don't. Sometimes they say, hey, I'm not paying your realtor. So when we go in and we submit an offer, part of the negotiation is going to be to get that seller to compensate me. My main goal when we're negotiating is to get your closing costs covered and my compensation covered, because that's cash out of your pocket. And that way, the only thing coming out of your pocket is your down payment, unless we get some sort of down payment assistance. But do you understand the buyer and seller realtor relationship now?
Yes. Yes, I do.
Great. Do you have any questions about it?
I do. You mentioned that sometimes you charge 2.5 and sometimes 3%. When do you charge, like when do you charge 2.5? When do you charge three? Words, damn.
So I charge 2.5, Shelby, when we end up in a situation where you're the one paying me. I'll charge 3% if we can get the seller to pay for me. Unless, and I hope this doesn't sound rude, Shelby, but unless I'm putting like an immense amount of work into you where it's like I have to charge 3% and you're paying me, then I'll tell you like, hey, you know what, Shelby, like we've been working together for 6 years now and you still haven't found a house. I need to charge you 3%. But for the most part, if you're paying me 2.5, if the seller's paying me 3%.
Okay. I get it. Is there any options out there for me to, like, if the seller doesn't want to pay and are there any creative solutions where I wouldn't have to pay you or like
So
could,
we
yeah.
So we got a couple options, right? Let's say we find the perfect house, we negotiate with the seller, and the seller says, "Hey, you know what, Shelby, I'm not paying." We got three choices. I think three choices. Number one is we call their bluff and we tell them, "All right, well, this is our final offer. Let us know if you would like to accept it or not." Number two, kind of similar to calling their bluff, but we just walk away from the home in total because the seller not paying is kind of like, well, I can't pay, or maybe I don't want to pay. This isn't the right house for me. I'm going to move on now. Or number three, Shelby, if this is a house that you truly, really do love, and you're just like, Isaac, like I'd love to pay you, but I don't have the money. We already tried to call their bluff. They don't want to pay you. Then I'm not going to hold you down to our relationship. I'll let you go as a client. I'll charge you, some sort of fee, $1,000, $2,000, just to compensate for my break-even time, gas. And then you can go just directly with the seller's agent and the seller and go buy that house with them. Because at the end of the day, I'm not here to fill up my pockets. I'm here to make you happy, Shelby. The only sucky thing about that is that this seller's agent, they still represent the best interests of the seller. So this seller's agent is not going to be fair, just as I wouldn't be fair if I was a seller's agent. They're going to take advantage of you as much as they can. They're going to squeeze you for the most amount of money. And this seller's agent has an advantage because it's him or her and their experience against you as a first, second, third time home buyer. Like I know I have somebody right now that they're buying a house, and I'm not representing them, but they're not represented by a realtor. And they didn't even do an inspection. They didn't negotiate the price. They didn't get any closing costs. They could have got a way better deal, but I can't guide them on that, and they don't have a realtor to guide them on that. So there's the downfall to that, but that's always going to be an option, Shelby. I'm not going to tell you, hey, you can't buy this house because I can't get paid. I'm not selfish. Might be a controversial topic, but that's my stance on it. If you really wanted to pay me, some creative solutions would be to maybe like, I don't know, get a family member to gift you part of your down payment. That way you have more funds left over. Or really, besides that, it's just negotiating with the seller, Shelby.
Okay, I really loved how you did a third person story. I think you handled that really well, explaining that you absolutely can have the choice to go on and pursue this home without me. I just want to make sure you understand what that would look like. And then you talk about how, just like you already set the stage for the seller's agent representing the seller, and how they wouldn't have you, me, the buyer, wouldn't have you as like essentially their gladiator to like defend you and protect you and lead you through some potentially very costly mistakes that they could land in. Yeah, I thought that was awesome. And then you followed up with a third party story. And so, like, listeners, third party stories are so helpful because it helps to paint the picture of exactly what you want to say, but less direct, where it's like, this would happen to you, like this could happen to you, is feels more intense, as opposed to this actually just happened. I just watched this happen to a good friend or whatever of mine, and then tell the exact same thing that you want to tell to the buyer, but by pulling them out of it being so direct and personal and painting the picture through a story. Great job.
Yeah. I never want to make them feel pressured, but I do want to let them know like what the possibilities are of, even when it comes down to like trying to find the 100% perfect house. I tell them stories about, oh, well, most of the people I buy, even the $700,000 custom buyers in El Paso that build their home, only find the 85% perfect house. But if you tell them while you're going to look at homes, it's okay to find the 85% perfect house, it's going to feel like a pressure sales. But if you tell them at this point, they'll remember that when they're going to look at homes.
Love that. Okay. And another thing, question: Have you, in your negotiations, have you ever tried to offer over what the list price is for your exact commission amount, and then ask for the seller to cut it back if the home does appraise? Have you done that, or
I
is
have
it? Yeah.
I've yet to need to negotiate for my commission. In El Paso, we're still good. Sellers are paying, no issue. But I have this in here, and I've had it in here for a while because of the whole NAR lawsuit that's going on. So I'm just being prepared and making myself comfortable doing it. And it's a lot easier to do it when it's not, when like, I'm gonna get paid. But it's so normal to me now that whenever they're not offering compensation, it's going to be there. But that's definitely going to be a creative thing that I'm doing, similar to closing costs, right? Like when you have somebody that really wants this $250,000 house, they need to pay $250 for it because it's competitive. They can't pay under, or they can't offer $250 in closing costs because they'll lose it. Offer $260, or what's that, like $256, $500, and then ask for closing costs. But of course, the issue there is always going to be, is that house going to appraise for $256, $500? So that's definitely going to be a solution that I'll explore whenever I need to negotiate my commission. But as long as the house can appraise, right?
Yeah, exactly. All dependent on that. And I love, yeah, I
Yeah.
love that you're getting in the reps now, because similar to your market, Lexington, they're still offering 3% on pretty much every listing. And a lot, I mean, I've been talking to agents all the time, and a lot of the markets, they're not, the sellers aren't just overnight removing. And especially if you have a listing agent who's able to articulate the value of compensating the buyer's agent. Like, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be like we wake up one day and everything's changed and, our entire world is sucked out from under us. I do think that we should be doing exactly what you're doing now, which is preparing, having the script, having the conversation, getting the reps in. And so that way you're super prepared if and when you do actually have to tackle
I
that piece of the
truly
puzzle.
believe that there's going to come a time where, our buyer's going to start having to pay us, especially when we're in a competitive market, and, the seller can sell a home by themselves with terrible pictures. They don't even need a realtor, similar to the COVID market. So this is why, like, this whole buyer consultation is just so important, because you need to be portraying your value as much as possible. So when it comes down to telling them, hey, this seller isn't offering compensation, there's no way we're going to get it, you would have to compensate me on this home. They're going to be like, Isaac, you spent 2 hours with us before you ever knew we were going to buy a house. You showed us homes before we even knew we wanted to get pre-approved. To guide us through that, you did X, Y, and Z. Of course, we're going to compensate you. I have a buyer right now, and we were going for like some off markets, and he was like, are they going to compensate you? Okay. Well, maybe we can negotiate. And he's fluent in real estate. He was like, well, maybe we can negotiate and do X, Y, and Z, and then I'll have the money to pay you the 2.5%. So like, he's like, oh yeah, Isaac deserves
Adorable.
this, right? So you got to make your
Very sweet.
buyers know that you
Yeah.
deserve it, and you have to know that you deserve it, because you do deserve it. Just because this job is easy for you because you've done it so much, or because you have mentors to guide you, doesn't mean that it's
This job
easy.
ain't
And
easy.
you,
I'm like,
yeah,
this
like you
job ain't
can't you
easy. You
can't buy
crazy.
in. Yeah,
But
you can't buy into the TikToks that say like realtors don't do anything. That stuff will get in your head. You got to remember that you have a hard job, but you also have to be the best professional possible.
perfect. Okay, let's get back to it. So you just went over buyer representation, buyer representation, seller representation, compensation, and what's next?
All right, so now we're going to get into the pre-approval aspect. By the way, honestly, like a lot of the visuals that I have on here, I don't even read through them. This is more like a guide so I don't go off track, because I have ADHD, and it's reading material for them if they want me to send it to them later on.
Ooh, I
But
should have asked that. Is this a hard like copy? Did you print this and you're giving it to them, or what does that look like?
I'm emailing to them. I'm all about efficiency. I
Perfect.
personally hate paper. If somebody gave me paper, I'd be thinking in my head like, oh my gosh, I hate this person. They just wasted so much space in my car, and now I have to worry about throwing it away. Ugh. So I email it to them. Easier, time is money, and save the planet, right?
So what's next in the process?
Okay, so now we get into the pre-approval aspect. Shelby, I know I briefly mentioned the pre-approval earlier in this presentation, and I'm going to hammer it a lot. And the reason why you see so many realtors talking about it is because it truly is the most important step, Shelby. Later on in this presentation, we're going to go through what you want in a house: 3 beds, 2 baths, a pool on the west side, $400,000. And we really don't know that price until the lender tells us that price, because we can get 3 beds, 2 baths, a pool between $200,000 and $2 million. So we need to know what price we're at. That way we can narrow down your criteria, because too many options create too much confusion. So my goal is to narrow down your criteria enough to where you know exactly what you need to be looking at. And the lender is going to be the one to step in and be like, hey, Shelby, this is where you can be at. And they're also going to be able to guide you as to where you want to be at. I have clients that can buy a $500,000 house that only buy a $275,000 house, because they prefer to have a McLaren. They prefer to go on vacation every single month. They prefer to buy a Gucci bag every 3 months. And, that's their lifestyle. The lender just knows your numbers on paper, but they're also going to tell you mortgage payments, and you'll be able to decide, Isaac, after talking with the lender, I'm going to stay here. Like, for example, Shelby, I just met with somebody that wanted a $584,000 house. It turns out that the lender said they can be at $210,000. So that's a big gap. I want to make sure that I'm using your time efficiently. I know you work a lot. I know you're busy. I don't want you to waste time going and looking at homes that maybe you can't be at or you don't want to be at. Also, vice versa. I have people that they're like, oh, well, just a $200,000 house. And then they realize they can get $300,000, and they were like, why was I wasting all my time looking at $200,000 homes? Let's go look at $300,000 homes. So that lender is going to be able to save us the most time, where it's like, this is the price we're at. Boom, let's go look there. Also, we can't submit an offer on anything without a pre-approval letter. So when we find the perfect house, which we will, and you don't have a pre-approval letter, it puts us at a disadvantage, because we got to go scramble real quick in 2 days to go get it, or 1 day, just so we can submit an offer. And let's say that a seller does accept our offer without a pre-approval, which they won't. I'm submitting an offer on a house in the 79930 for my client. His name, I won't say his name, but we found it. We submitted the offer. We don't have an approval letter. And the listing agent said, Isaac, thank you for the offer. We will not be presenting this until you send us an approval letter. So right now, I'm still waiting on that letter. We might lose that house. Somebody might swoop in, submit an offer with a letter. Boom, we lose it. We're going to have to get it anyways. It makes sense to get it on the front end. But let's say they accept our offer without an approval letter, and it turns out we can't afford that price, or things just don't work out. All of a sudden, not only did we just risk and waste a lot of your time, Shelby, we just possibly risked your deposit. $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 deposit. I'm not going to risk your time. I'm not going to risk your money, Shelby. That's why this is one of the most important and the first steps. And pre-qualified versus pre-approved. Pre-qualified, a lender, they're not doing any research. You're submitting an application online and they say, congratulations, you're approved. And then they send it like in an hour. They didn't do any research. Pre-approved, the lender's going through your bank statements. They're going through your W-2s. They're going through your tax returns. They are going into your life. They're spending 3 hours just looking at your credit report, looking at who you're cash apping on your bank statements. And then they're confidently coming back and telling us, hey, Shelby and Isaac, I promise I won't be wasting 2 months of your time. I won't be risking any of your money. You're approved at $200,000. I'm 95% sure. Go look at homes at $200,000. And that gives you and me the confidence to know we're not wasting your time. We're not wasting your money. We know exactly what we can be looking at. Before I get more into the presentation, I know I'm talking a lot, Shelby. Do you have any questions?
No questions, quick comment. Guys, if you noticed, he said, I don't want to waste your time and your money. So what's in it for them? It's not about you needing it. It's about why they should do it. And then also he did, again, that third party story about what happened to his friend, about how they wouldn't even present the offer, and really emphasize that fear of loss. So really, really good sales techniques in order to make the people believe that they really do need to do this, which they do. So no questions,
Yeah.
proceed.
Yeah, and you got to remember, and you have to believe this. Like, I truly believe, oh man, it pains me that people go and walk into open houses and go ask people, can I see this house? Can I do this? Can I do that? Not for the realtors, for them. They work 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. They have kids. They are busy all the time, and they found one day out of the whole month to go look at homes, and they're just wasting it because they're not making any progress. They're just window shopping. Like, people are so busy. Time is money. I really do want to save them time, and that's why I get them to do this. Because so you got to believe that, and you have to know that it's about them. If you're thinking like, well, maybe I could say this, that way they could believe it so I don't waste my time, they're going to smell that on you. Like, I truly believe I'm saving them time because I am saving them time. But anyways, Shelby, the mortgage lender is going to ask you for all this information, everything that they could use to steal your identity. They're going to ask for it. As far as the bad stuff, you need to tell them. Child support, IRS payments, you make a bunch of money under the table. Mortgage lender is not the IRS. They're not the FBI. They don't care. They want to get you approved. The more stuff you hide, the more risk you're at of losing the house 2 months into spending hours, days, weeks looking, submitting offers, negotiating, getting the house under contract. I had this gentleman where he had 2 child support payments and he only told us about one. A week before closing, we almost lost the new construction house. The builder almost canceled on us because we had to delay it and go back into underwriting. So the mortgage lender's on our side, Shelby. Who's not on our side is the mortgage lender's quote unquote boss, their underwriter. The mortgage lender's job is to approve you by all means necessary, find the loopholes. The underwriter's job is to deny you. They want to make sure you don't get foreclosed on. They're that healthy balance. But if the underwriter finds something out and it blindsides the mortgage lender, we're at a disadvantage. We need to address everything before the underwriter sees it. So don't be afraid to tell the lender about your McLaren at a 29% interest rate. Don't be afraid. They're on our side. Okay, Shelby? Cool. All right. So as far as getting approved, Shelby, I know this is very important. They're going to look at your income, your debt, your assets in your bank account, your credit score, and your employment. As far as your proof of income they can use. Monthly income, right? They're going to get your debts. They're going to get your monthly debts that are on your credit report, add them to your hypothetical mortgage payment, and divide it by your monthly income. That's going to determine the price that you're at, Shelby. A lot of people at this point ask me if I could do the math quickly for them. Would you like me to do that, Shelby, or would you just like the lender to do it?
I would just like the lender to do this. And also, Isaac, for the sake of time, I know that you originally told me this was a 2-hour presentation. Just confirming, are we going to be able to keep it in, or how are we doing on time?
Oh, we're good. We're good on time.
Oh, we're good.
I'm actually probably going a little bit faster than I usually do.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. That's why I'm like, I'm not going to ask questions. We're going to roll. We got this.
Yeah. And honestly, Shelby, most of the time people ask me like, hey, can you do the math for me? I do it for them. And the important part of this is when you realize that they're never going to be able to buy a house in a million years because it's just not possible, you can direct your presentation in a different way and not go through it like fully, kind of like save you time, save them time. Like if I have somebody that wants a $500,000 home, I do the math for them and they're at 200,000. At this point, I stop and I tell them, okay, so I'm looking at, like, I'll see their debt to income ratio, right? And I'll be like, you could be at a $180,000 home, which is about, $1,700 a month. I know originally, Shelby, you told me you wanted $500,000 a month. I mean, a $500,000 home. Do you think this is still like a home that you would want to purchase, or would you like to know like maybe how you can raise your purchase amount? And then we get into that conversation. Maybe I tell them like, I mean, you could make more money, you could pay off this debt. And then I politely ask, would you like to proceed with this presentation, or do you feel like right now is not the right time since there's a discrepancy in the price you want versus the price you can be at? As far as like that conversation can get a little bit awkward, sometimes I just go through the rest of the presentation, but kind of like at a speed, like a higher speed, and then let them know like, well, you got my personal number. Let me know if you need anything. But this can possibly save you like a good amount of time because it's right before we're getting into what they want in a house. But I explain all this about income, monthly debt, and all that. And then I tell them, what not to do. Don't go buy a house. Don't go buy a car and mess up your credit, blah, 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 blah. And now we're going to get into the home search. This is very important. So I tell them, all right, we're past the boring part, Shelby. This is the fun part. This is what you're here for. This is probably what you've been like, oh my gosh, when is Isaac going to get to it? The home search. Before we get into you telling me what you want, I just want you to know something, Shelby. There's a lot of people that find houses fast in one day. There's a lot of people that find houses slow in 6 months. However long it takes you to find a house, don't feel bad. It's at your own pace. Be confident in it. And I just want to let you know, my 3 main goals when we're looking for a house is to make sure that you're not paying too much for the house, you're not missing out on anything, and there's nothing wrong with the house. As far as paying too much, that's going to be addressed before we submit an offer on the house. Missing out on anything, the home search process I have is process of elimination rather than selection to make sure we don't miss out on anything. So when we're going and looking at homes, these are all the options available. Do I want them or not? And as far as something not being wrong with the house, that's going to happen during your inspection. So you don't have to worry, is the roof bad? Is this bad? Is that bad? We're going to address that after we get the home under contract. And Shelby, I'm going to get a funnel. In that funnel, I'm going to put in homes that you send me on Zillow, you send me on somebody's Instagram, for sale by owners, new construction lists, homes on the MLS, on Zillow. We're going to put it all in the funnel, and we're going to narrow it down. Beds, baths, price, location, refrigerated air, no refrigerated air. We're going to narrow it down the most we can. And typically, everybody starts at a couple thousand homes, and we end at about, I want to say 3 to at the most 20 homes. And then we'll go and set up a day. Of course, this is after you're approved and all that, to go look at homes. And we'll look at a maximum of 7 houses. After 7 houses, it's too many choices. You'll be confused. You won't know what you like. So we'll see a maximum of 7 houses a day. And one of 3 things happen, Shelby, when I show people houses. About 85% of my clients find the house on the first home showing because we narrowed it down so well. We know we're not missing out on anything. Boom. About a little bit of the other people, right? They don't find the house that they want, and we just keep looking, and we find it on the second home showing. And number 3, some people realize that what they want is just not going to happen in their price range, and they decide that they're going to go do some work to raise their price range, or maybe that they're just not going to buy a house at all. But anyways, let's get into what you want in a house. And right here, for now talking to host Shelby, right? This is where I get into what they want in a house. If it's a partner, Shelby, I get the husband and the wife or the partners. I give them a sheet of paper. I tell them, open your notes app, and I tell them, write down your 3 top priorities. And if they try to talk to each other, I straight up tell them, no, don't talk to each other. Don't look at each other's screens. Write down what your 3 priorities are. Don't look at each other. No cheating. And I'm dead serious about it. I'm we'll laugh a little, but I'm like, no, don't discuss with each other. And I tell them, these top priorities are your non-negotiables. You won't buy a house if they don't have these 3 things. So if you're telling me it has to have a tub, what I'm thinking in my head is, if the house has a butler, it's on the beach, it's a free house, but it doesn't have a tub, you won't buy it because it doesn't have a tub. But anyways, guys, write that on your notes. They write it on their notes, and then when they're done, I say, okay, let's start with you, Shelby. You tell me, I write it down, and I dig deep into it. You have to dig deep because they don't know what they want. You know what they want. You help people buy homes. They don't know what they want. So they tell me, Isaac, I want a 3-car garage. Tell me a little bit more about that, Shelby, and just shut up. Okay, they start talking, and then you are like, so you work out a lot. You tell me you're a little uncomfortable at the gym, and you maybe want to store your gym equipment there. What if we found an oversized 2-car garage? Or what if we found a 2-car garage and then a shed in the back that had AC and it was big enough to have your bench, your squat rack, and your cardio machine? Oh yeah, that'd be perfect, Or also they say, I want a big backyard. Tell me a little bit more about that. Well, my dog is big and they'll jump over walls easy. Oh, so if we found an average size backyard that had tall walls, that would work. Yeah, Isaac, I'm just looking for something private. That's what I mean by big backyard. You can't take what they say at surface level. You have to dig deep because they don't know what they want. But I dig deep into the wife and the husband, both partners. I collect their data, and then I say, all right, I know your non-negotiables. And if they say something that I feel is unrealistic for a non-negotiable, such as the house has to have Quartz countertops, I tell them, so what you're saying is that the house is the perfect price, perfect location, perfect everything, but it doesn't have quartz countertops, you won't buy it. And then if they're like, well, no, I'm like, okay, that's not a non-negotiable. Let's cross it out. We're not talking about wants right now. We're talking about needs. What are your non-negotiables? It feels a little weird, but you've got to be stern with them. Like, you got to know what their non-negotiables are, because these are their most important things. After they tell you their non-negotiables, you go into what their wants are. I want a tub. I want a butler. I want to live by the beach. I want to live by the mountains, whatever. You gather their data, and then if you want to take it a step further, you know, by this point you should probably know what price they're at. You go into the MLS, you plug in their data, and you start scrolling through the homes. And this will give you a feel for what they're open to, because they could tell you the square footage they want, the beds, the baths, the location, and you can ask them, are you okay with an outdated home? And they'll say yes. And then you show them a house on the MLS with pink carpet, and they're like, hell no. Okay. And then you show them a house that's from the 2000s outdated, which they should be okay with because they said it's okay. And they're like, no. And while you're showing them homes on the MLS and looking through pictures, you realize, okay, they literally only want a home that's built from 2017 and up, because they want modern, and it has to have granite countertops and wood beams and whatever on the house, right? So looking through the homes on the MLS with them can really help, but you want to be careful to not look at every single home, because you'll be there forever. But by the time you do this, you'll know exactly what they want. And then this is what you tell them. You let them know, all right, I have a really good idea for exactly what you want. This is really going to help us not miss out on anything whatsoever. This is the criteria of home that I'm going to be using to look for whenever, after we get approved and we start looking. By the way, Shelby, there's a lot of people that like to window shop. There's a lot of people that want to see if what they want is realistic and is out there. If that's you and you want to do that before getting pre-approved, I'm okay with it. I really am. But you just have to know, Shelby, that if we find the perfect house while doing that, you probably can't buy it because we need to get approved. And you have to know that it's just window shopping. As long as you know that, I'm okay with it. I do it for a lot of people. And after that appointment, you'll know, yes, let's proceed. Let's go get approved. Let's look for homes. Or no, I'm not going to find what I want. Thanks for your time, Isaac, but I'm out. All right. Have any questions?
Again with comments, dude, the non-negotiables, the needs versus the wants, that is so smart. Having them do it separately and then digging deep, because you're right, people will all the time be like, exactly like you said, I want a big backyard. But until you take the time to really like peel back the layers of the onion, you won't, as the agent, be able to accurately search, understand what's important to them, and then come up with a creative solution. Especially in like a lot of markets around the country are so hyper competitive right now that if you really don't understand what could work in a creative way, oh, you don't need a 3-car garage, you could have a 2-car and a shed, then you're not going to be able to do that justice for the buyer. The other thing that I think is super smart is that scrolling through the homes together, because again, totally right. People are like, oh, I could do a fixer upper. And then if you don't do this up front, you walk in, now you've driven 30 minutes across the city to a house that you probably knew they weren't going to like anyway. And you've just wasted everyone's time as opposed to taking a few extra minutes and doing it there. Super smart. Freaking gold star, Isaac. Yes.
Yeah, and then what you do is when they send you a house that has no refrigerated air and it has pink carpet, you say, hey, when we were doing the buyer consultation, you told me absolutely not to this. Did you change your mind? Are you open to spending, like $10,000 for a new AC and changing out the carpet? No, you're right, Isaac. And you can't be afraid when they send you homes to tell them, you told me this. Are you sure you want to see that? I tell that to people all the time, and they're like, oh, this is why we love you, Isaac. Thanks so much. Let's keep looking. You can't be afraid. Tell them, remind them, look out for their time. Don't waste their time. But anyways, right here, I get into the offers and negotiations. So I explain to them how we're going to negotiate an offer on used homes. And then I go into new construction and I tell them, hey, Shelby, this home search right here, that's me making sure we don't miss out on anything. That's one of your biggest fears. This right here is making sure we don't pay too much. That's your second biggest fear. And then I explain the offer price, the earnest money, the inspection money. I won't explain it for you guys. I'm sure you know all about that. but I explain this is the earnest money. This is like us telling the seller, hey, Mr. Seller, I really want your house. Here's $1,000. If I back out, you keep it. I explain it to them like I would explain it to a middle schooler, not to be condescending, but because I would want that explained to me like that if I didn't know about buying a house. And then I go into how I advise them on an offer. And this is what I will explain to you guys. So I tell them, guys, first things first, every time I show somebody a home or every time I start helping somebody, they ask me, hey, Isaac, what's the least amount of money I can get this house for? And my answer to you, Shelby, is I have no clue. Well, I do have a clue, but I'm not going to give you that answer because there's just too many external factors. So I'm not going to tell you, can we get closing costs on this house? What price we can get this house at? Unless you decide I want to submit an offer. Once you want to submit an offer on a house, I'm going to spend hours doing research to determine what's the best deal we can get on this. First things first that I take into consideration is home condition. How does the home smell? How is the furniture? Is it crowded? Is it not? Are there holes in the wall? What's the vibe of the house? This sounds weird, but sometimes you walk into a house and you just feel like, ugh. Is there a renter in the house? Is the owner present during showings? All these things that you think don't matter, matter. A house that has shitty pictures is going to sell for less money. I just got a house, what was it? Like $10,000, $27,000 under market value because it had terrible pictures. Like, that's crazy. Comparable sales. We're going to look at what recent homes have sold for. And based on that, we should say, oh, well, since somebody bought this house at this price, we can buy this house at this price. Demand and interest. Shelby, if you wanted a house on the east side that's a 2-story, $300,000 in the 79938, there are so many options. We have negotiation room. On the flip side, if you want a house at $265,000 built in 2017 and up, 1,600 square feet, 3 beds, 2 baths with a landscape backyard, you better strap in. We're going to have so much competition. Very little supply, a ton of demand. That plays a role. And this can outweigh all of this because recent homes at that 265 range might have sold at 265, and now there's so many people that want it, maybe it's going to sell at 270, 275. Just as this can weigh out all of this as well, and this can weigh out all of this. But one of them doesn't give us the answer for everything. All together, they come and they determine what price we can get it at and if we're going to get closing costs or not. And also, Shelby, do you love it? So whenever we're submitting an offer on a house, I'm going to give you 3 options. Number 1 is going to be a low ball. Like, we're going to insult them. The risk to that is we'll probably lose it. We'll offend them. They won't want to counter us. The pro to it is we can get a really good deal if they accept it. Number 2 is going to be fair. We'll all say, like, honestly, if we submit this, like, they should accept it. And number 3 is going to be you absolutely want it. You want there to be 0 chance of you missing out on it. Here's the most competitive offer I have. Even if I might be overpaying, I don't care. I want this house. I'm going to give you those 3 options after I do my research, hours of research, when you find the house you want. And then we're going to I'm going to send you the options. You're going to tell me which one you want to do. I'll type up the offer on the 1 to 4 family residential contract. It's written by the Texas Real Estate Commission. I know it like the back of my hand. It's written in the best interest of the buyers. I'm going to send it to you, guide you on all these decisions. We're going to send them the offer. And if they accept it, we'll go on to the next steps. For a new construction home, Shelby, we're not going to negotiate. The builder's telling us, you want it or not. At these terms, we say yes or no. There's some new construction homes where they're extra desperate and we can negotiate with them, or they're a little bit newer, we can negotiate with them. I'll advise you on that. Really, the only thing we're negotiating is the back end, not the price. Closing costs, interest rate buy down, washer and dryer, backyard landscaping, that's what we're negotiating. The rule of thumb, Shelby, is if the home is move-in ready, if it's complete, we're going to get full closing cost contribution and buy down maybe, and if not, we can negotiate it. By the way, side note for all the viewers, I'm in El Paso. The market's different. I'm sure where you guys are at, you can actually go in and negotiate with the builders. Here, a lot of the builders, it's like, I don't care. I'll sell it to somebody else. I'm not going to lower my price or this and that. So you can really only negotiate like on move-in ready houses. But anyways, that's what I tell them on writing up an offer and all that. And then I say, this stuff, guys, just reading material. When I send it to you, email to you, you can read it on your own time. Then I tell them, boom, we're under contract. This is assuming we're going for a used home. We'll deliver your deposit, the earnest money. We'll do our inspection. Shelby, we targeted to make sure you're not missing out on anything during the home search. Make sure you're not paying too much during the offers and negotiations. Now we're going to target the third biggest fear. Is there something wrong with the house? We're going to get an inspector out there to inspect the home, find out what's wrong with it, and we're going to negotiate with the seller. The seller doesn't have to fix anything in Texas. It's not their problem. Doesn't matter if it's up to code. Doesn't matter if the house is on fire. They don't have to get the hose and put the fire out. But they're incentivized to, because what we're saying, Shelby, is we're saying, hey, if you don't put that fire out, we're going to back out and you're going to have to sell it to somebody else. If we can't come to an agreement with the seller right here, Shelby, we back out. We take your thousands of dollars in deposits back. We lose what you paid for the inspection and the option money, $75, and we move on to the next house. But if everything goes right here, then we move on to the next step. By the way, inspections can be very scary. There's a lot of things on there that you could just live with for the rest of your life. I'm going to be that sense of logic in your ear to negotiate with what really matters, big ticket items. Whatever's out of my realm of expertise, I'm going to get my roofers there, my electricians, my plumbers, whatever, and they're going to take a second look on top of the general inspector. For a new home, Shelby, they send the inspector, we tell them what's wrong, they fix everything. It's a new home, super easy. And once we pass that inspection part, we go to the appraisal. Then I explain the appraisal and the title policy to them. I'm sure you guys know that, so I won't explain it and bore you. I tell them what happens if the appraisal comes in lower or not. I tell them about the closing disclosure, the final walkthrough, going to the closing table. I make a little joke about, and then you're on my Instagram and you have a sign and it's like closed clients, happy clients signing at the closing table. And then they laugh. And then after this, I tell them this is some reading material right here, best practices to read. And then I say who I am. I'm Isacc Lightbourn. I'm a solo realtor. I actually have a small team. I have my transaction coordinator. She handles all the paperwork. So I guide you on the offer. I tell her what to write. She physically does the paperwork, sends it to you. I do this so I could save time and I could focus on these important meetings, negotiating contracts for you. That's my main expertise. As far as showing homes, I don't have her on here right now, Mrs. Shelby, but her name's Marina. She's my full-time showing agent. And the reason I have her on, Shelby, is because your time is so valuable. And there's a con to working with a realtor that's as experienced as me and has as many clients, is that when you want to see a home today, I can't show it to you today. I can show it to you next week. I'm not going to do that to you. I'm getting paid a good amount of money just to tell you you can't see a home till next week. That's crazy. So I have a full-time showing agent. When you want to see a home, boom, she's going to show you that home. And her main focus is sending you homes that I deem to be in your criteria, scheduling them and showing them to you. Don't worry, I'm still your realtor. She's trained on what to look for in a house, what to report back to me, the smell, the furniture, all that. And when it comes down to, Isaac, I like this house, I want it, I step in and I do what's important, negotiating, analysis of the value, the real critical thinking work. By the way, Marina's similar into personality as me, 8 years of experience, so I didn't hire some rookie. She knows her stuff. She's just great. I love working with her. I got a bunch of resources for you guys, contractors, inspectors, blah, blah, blah. I tell them that. And then I tell them, by the way, I'm sure you see my reviews on Instagram. I was born in 2001. I'm 22 years old. I want to address this because this is the biggest purchase of your life. I'm young, but I sold 41 homes last year. The average realtor sells 6. I'm the number 1 realtor at my brokerage last year and this year. I'm ranked around number 36 in El Paso out of 3,000 realtors. So I know what I'm doing. I don't say this to brag. I say this so that you have the assurance knowing that I know what I'm doing and you get the energy from me being young and I just have a ton of time on my hand. I live a minimalistic life, paid off car. I live with my mom. I own rental properties, but I have them rented out. So I'm never desperate for the commission, honestly. Like, I'll be fine if you buy a house. If you don't, I live a minimalist life and somebody else is going to buy a house with me if you don't. So you never have to feel pressured by me. I just want you to be happy. The happier you are, the happier I am. The happier you are, the more friends you send me. And that is the end of my presentation, Mrs. Shelby. Do you have any questions
Mrs.
for me?
Shelby. I love it. Dude, no, this is side note. You've grown. Last time you just had a TC. You did not have a showing assistant. So very cool. Congratulations on that growth. And also just listening to you, your confidence is really refreshing. It's very cool because I can tell that you've said this a ton of times, but you still take the time and emphasize the points and make sure like you did a great job with me. I love that you're a well-oiled machine. And since we did a 2-hour presentation in an hour, and we probably could have used a full other hour, honestly, to go slow through the second part. But because we are cramped on time, Isaac, where can people find you? What do you want people to do?
You guys can find me on Instagram, just my name, Isacc Lightbourn. Don't follow me unless you're going to watch my content. Don't ruin my algorithm. You can find me on YouTube as well. My number's there. I know there's plenty of people that have texted me from the Real Estate Rockstars podcast asking for advice. Text me. Let me know if you have any questions, or if you guys want to connect. We can pitch ideas off of each other.
And Isaac, you're going to be at Tom Ferry, right?
I might be at Tom Ferry this year. We'll see.
Might.
We'll see. Maybe Summit. I don't
I
know.
was hoping to
Maybe.
see you, but
I probably will be. I've been going to a lot of ninja selling installations. Like I'm going to go to 2 this year. So I don't know if I'll go to Tom Ferry, but I don't
well, if
know.
you do, I'll let me know and I will hit you up. I'd love to hang out in person. And guys out listening, I do have a couple of Tom Ferry tickets that are significantly underpriced. They're like $200, and I think that the actual Tom Ferry prices are what, like 1,000, Isaac,
Yeah,
something like that.
that
Yeah,
$200 is a really good price.
yeah, so I have a handful of those. If you want to go to Tom Ferry and you want to hang out with me and Isaac, if he does come, shoot me a DM on the Shelby Show on Instagram, and I'll see. I have a couple of tickets. We'll see if there's any left by the time you message me. But so that, and the last thing I was gonna say something, and I totally forgot. That's fine, Isaac, dude. Thanks so much for hanging out, and we'll probably have you on again someday. I loved hanging with you. Oh, that's it. realestaterockstarsnetwork.com toolbox is where you can get his exact slides. So make sure you go there and get your tool. That's it. Okay, Real Estate Rockstars, thanks for listening. Bye.